come up here, please.
Yay, Pat.
I just want to say, before I let Pat say a few words, that I've known her for a lot of years. And to say that she was instrumental here at this market during all those years, and that she is a gracious, wonderful lady, would not be able to do her justice.
Absolutely.
I'm proud to know her. Pat?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see everybody. We had a beautiful day to I would like to thank President Jeff Squires, the Board of Directors, Manager Steve Wilson, and Mary Record for bestowing this great honor on my family and me. I wish my parents were here to witness this great honor. They would be very, very proud. I have so many memories of the windmill, some good, some frustrating. After visiting the Green Dragon farm market in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, we discussed how nice it would be if we had a market like that in the Penn Yan area. We had producers, crafters, Mennonites, and other talents right here in our own county. We thought about it and discussed it for 5 years before we did anything about it. After talking with many of our English and Mennonite friends, one of which was Susie Stofus, a well-known quilt maker, Susie had lived in Pennsylvania, was very familiar with farm markets. Susie kept encouraging us, so in February 1986, we called a meeting to see if there was any interest in forming a market. 80 people showed up. We had another meeting in March '86, and from there we formed a steering committee to search for a site. We looked at several properties and finally chose this 26-acre site. This location was between Penn Yan and Dundee, so it would benefit both communities. After many heartbreaks and trying to get financing, the concept was understood by the people involved, but it was not understood by any financial institution or government agency that we approached. We almost gave up on the idea, but thanks to the kindness of Sherry and Tom Morris, who owned the land, they believed in our concept enough to offer us the property for a $5,000 down payment, and they would hold the mortgage for 5 years. We incorporated and sold shares of vendor investment stock. And the fact, the fellow that bought the first share of stock, Bill Meyer, is right over here. So we're glad to see Bill. We soon sold enough to give us $50,000 to make the down payment on the land and to keep us going for a while. On April 13th, 1986, we formed a nominating committee and set up a 13-member board of directors. On April 25th, 1987, a group of 70 Mennonite men and boys, under the direction of Ivan Hoover, held an old-fashioned barn raising. By mid-afternoon, they had the framework and trusses up. It was truly an amazing thing to watch. All you heard was the sound of hammers, chainsaws, and the occasional, "Get that end up," or "Push, push, push." The Mennonite and English women put on a large smorgasbord for everyone. We had enough applications to fill a second 60 by 100 building. We were fortunate that Ralph Hertzler from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, heard about our need for financing, and as he understood markets, he was kind enough to offer us a $40,000 loan to build the second building. We took his offer and named Building 2 after him. By hiring this done, we were able to open with 2 buildings. On May 5th, 1987, we had a construction day. Volunteers from many companies showed up with big equipment that we needed, such as bulldozers, dump trucks, cement trucks, and so forth. Volunteers put in the concrete floor in Building 1, while others put in driveways and parking lots. Materials and supplies were put on their books until we could pay them back, which we did. There was a huge, large sign near Building 2 that has the names of the volunteers that helped us during our building process. We were known as the Yates County Country Co-op, but we felt we needed a catchy name. We ran a contest and had 80 entries. We chose the name The Windmill, suggested by Deb Clancy. I know she's here someplace. I was talking to her earlier. She was co-owner of NewsArt, the advertising agency that was so helpful in promoting our market. We felt The Windmill was the catchy name we were looking for. Our first information booth was the old ticket booth from Roseland Park in Canandaigua, New York. A lot of people probably remember that and went there when you were kids. We decided that our hours were going to be 8 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It was a long day as most of us got there at 6 a.m. to get set up. We soon realized we lost most of our crowd by 6 p.m. Later that year, we backed the hours off to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We realized we'd lost our crowd by 4:30. So the next year, we changed the hours from 8 to 4:30, and they have remained the same ever since. We opened our doors for the first time on June 27, 1987, with 64 inside vendors and 25 outside. We had a wonderful crowd, which was very encouraging to us. The next Saturday was July 4th, and traffic was backed up from Penn Yan as well as Dundee for 5 miles. Cars were parked on both sides of the highway for a half a mile. The state police were not too happy with us, but we were ecstatic. Hey, hi. My great-granddaughter's down here. First time I've seen her. Oh, she's adorable. The first year we were open, we had no heat or insulation in either building. Our maintenance man, Clark Schweitzer, would take a salamander, haul it from one building to the other, keeping it in each building for 1 hour just to take the chill off. In September 1988, we finally had proved ourselves to the satisfaction of the Bath National Bank in Dundee. Senior Vice President Gordon Trumpfeller informed us that the bank was going to give us a $200,000 loan. We were able to pay off all the construction debts and personal loans. We put up a third enclosed building as well as an open produce shed. We received a New York State grant which helped us construct sidewalks, concrete floors, and restroom facilities. In 1992, more outside buildings were erected, including one that my family built for me, and Karen Kress has the building right down here. I had lamps, lampshades, and handmade baskets. My mother Ruth and I were basket weavers. She would make baskets inside our booth, and my father Bill would sit on the porch in an Amish-made hickory rocker and carve basket handles. My dad was highly respected, loved the windmill, and was a walking book of knowledge on the market. Building 1 is named after my parents. In 1995, we purchased 7.5 acres on the south side of Hobson Road to provide additional parking. This area also worked out well for the car shows that my oldest son Jeff and his family held twice a year for 18 years. In 2004, a New York State Matching Fund grant was awarded to us, which enabled us to enclose our produce building as well as our former hay auction barn. In April 1997, a young pregnant female cat found her way into our office and eventually into our hearts. She gave birth to 2 kittens that were adopted by my parents. We named her Shy because she was. She was a well-rounded, beautiful cat, and she would lay in the open window of the office and greet her many fans as they passed by. She was with us until 2001 when arthritis overtook her and we had to put her down. In April 1998, we arrived at the market to find a Rhode Island red rooster with brilliant rust feathers and beautiful iridescent green tail feathers. We were never sure how he found us, but he soon found out that no one was going to hurt him, and he became quite a personality. We named him Rooster Cogburn. He would preen himself in the office door or the bumper of a car. He would come into the office to snack on the cat food, and he also loved oatmeal raisin cookies, melons, Ritz crackers, and peanuts. He loved to follow Tom Hines, one of our 2 maintenance men, around when Tom was using the floor cleaning machine. In fact, it is special that the same area that the pavilion is located on is the area that Cogburn would work the crowd each Saturday looking for tasty morsels. We had him until 2001 when one day we came to work only to find that some wild animal had tried to catch Cogburn and had pulled out all of his beautiful tail feathers. We knew it was time to retire him, so we took him back to the Birdsell's farm where he spent the winters till about the rest of his life. I have a favor to ask the board of directors. Would you consider bringing back the Vendor Express? This was a newspaper that the vendors who wanted to would participate in for $100 per year. Each year we had several thousand newspapers printed by outside companies, but they were such an excellent handout to give our customers. They could refer to them again and again, so when we returned to the windmill, they had already picked out the vendors they wanted to visit. The paper was broken into different locations and with vendor pictures and descriptions of their products. I know it's a lot of work to organize it, but I feel it is truly worth it. So I would thank you for your consideration for the board to think about this. I have been so fortunate to have worn many hats at the windmill. I was a vendor for 9 years, the first president from 87 to 88. I was on the board of directors for 9 years and shared 10 years off and on with my father as treasurer. I was market manager for 6 years, retiring in 2002. I remember all the nights I was at the windmill before we opened working with Bill Gunderman, Ron Nissen, and Don Danforth. I pounded as many nails in building one as the men did. I haven't been involved too much for the past 10 years, but that does not mean my heart is still not here. The windmill has grown so much over the last 30 years, as well as the entire length of 14A between Penn Yan and Dundee. This is what the founders hoped would happen. It put life back into Yates County, and the windmill is truly a beautiful place to visit. From the last week of May 2017 to the first week of August, I was in 4 different hospitals for a total of 45 days. If it were not for help from God, the love and concern from my family, and special care from my dearest friend, Dr. Donald Timonis, I would not be here today. So it is a double honor for me to be standing here in front of this building that carries my name. One of my sons, Scott, said the cool thing about this building is it is for families to meet and share food and stories. Quite appropriate, since this market was founded by a family, so families might enjoy and experience a day in the country. Thank you for letting me ramble on. I was hoping it would trigger some happy memories for the seasoned vendors and let the newer ones know that it was not easy to get the windmill off the ground, but it definitely was worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.